I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
That was so enthusiastic.
Thanks. I'm enthusiastic today.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying.
Is it because we are talking about, well, what our episode is today? I'm like, how do we, I want to do like a charades with it. I want to make you guys guess, although that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, this is like a very in-demand episode topic, to be honest. We have gotten feedback from people who watch the show that they wanted to know about this. And we already kind of had it in the works because it is a popular, important subject. Anyways.
Yeah, very much so. People ask us about it a lot. And it's a great topic. I'm happy to cover it. Maybe that's why I'm enthusiastic.
Yay! Bring all of your enthusiasm and all of your big witch energy to how to read your personal birth chart.
Yes, and we're going to do this in segments because that is a huge undertaking.
Big.
Yes, and we, don't want it to be overwhelming. We want this to be accessible. We want it to be something you can actually use and dive into and spend some time with. And so this is just going to be the first segment in our series of how to read your personal birth chart.
Yeah, and so we will be starting with the big three.
The big three. It's talked about so much. What's your big three?
Yeah, so many answers to that. But anyways.
Never thought about that until you just said it.
Amazing. But as usual, before we get to that, we have a couple of things we need to do first. And one of those is a card pull.
What do people say? Some housekeeping?
No, that's kind of like where you're like going through your schedule or like updates or something, right?
Yeah, it's like updates, I think.
Yeah. But like boring updates.
I don't like it. I don't like that term. I don't understand what that's even supposed to mean because it has nothing to do with like cleaning or like, I don't get it.
I don't want to think about housekeeping.
I feel like it's a very corporate term, and
it is. Or like they do like city council meetings.
Ew.
What? Like before we get on to new business, let's do some housekeeping.
Gross.
Super gross.
Yeah, maybe they mean it like picking up stuff or tying up loose ends, like cleaning
I think it's like, we're off for the Memorial Day holiday and we resume on isn't that what it is?
Gross.
The parking situation is repaired. I don't know. I don't know. These sentences don't make any sense.
So, Bob, you can stop sending those memos. We got the message.
Exactly.
Bob's like, well, it's about time.
Also, there's a new memo sending procedure and one memo per person. Anyways, whatever.
GPS report.
Hate corporate America. Okay, let's pull a card.
Yes. It is the Seasons of the Witch Beltane Oracle deck because, I don't know, I need some sun, I need some light, I need some fire, I need all of that. We're not getting it. We're not having it. I'm sick of it. I love this deck. I don't hate it at all.
I love this deck also, and I do not hate it at all. In fact, I love it.
In fact, I love it.
It's so beautiful.
I love it.
Totally a favorite. Okay.
I just decided you were picking.
B. It says, don't drink all of life from one flower, for there are many to taste and many to explore.
Okay. How freaking Gemini energy is that card?
It's so cute. It's card number 1 also.
I'm dead. I love it.
And it has beautiful, like, girl, and kind of like has bee wings, and there's a flower crown, there's a bunch of bees floating around her. I also think, and this is very, like, stupid, but we're doing big 3, and it talks about not drinking all of life from one flower. So we're going to be talking about sort of how to expand your view of, life, but yourself, your personality, etc.
Yes, I love it. It's about abundance and just like being curious and, extending yourself to look at different resources that are available to you. It's matching the current energy that we have going on in the universe right now. I'm really digging it.
Yes, I really like it too. And yes, it is very Gemini energy as well. These,
flitting around and sort of, flower to flower. I stan.
Okay. Yes. Love it.
Love it.
Good energy. Good card pull. Very good card pull.
See? Don't you feel good about that?
I do.
See? Love it.
Finally. Oh, okay. Moving on to our why though. Why did we get sad when we said that? We went,
No. It's funny that we did because I don't feel like it matches necessarily because there's nothing like that that's going on really that would make you, but
we went like minor chord.
We did. I don't know why though. Yeah, it was very like pipe organ, like that was
totally. No, I don't know why. I really just have some very lovely things to point out for this week.
So do I. It's nothing bad. It's just the weather. It's nothing bad though. No. In terms of astrologically speaking. So what do we got? What do we got?
So the first thing that I have, and they know, and we are just in love with Venus. And so I love talking about everything that she's doing all the time. So she is getting ready on June 20th to enter her retrograde shadow, which means she's getting ready for her big retrograde, which in July, in Leo. Very exciting.
It is exciting.
So she's moving, she's shaking, she's getting ready to go back and pull some things forward and review some things, and she's bringing all her glorious hot energy to
I love that. I feel like we just have like more time with her because we do essentially.
We do. Yes.
We have more time with her in that sign, and that feels good. So I'm happy. It's like, I think we said it before, like extended hot girl summer.
Yes, exactly. And I also just want to make a little side note and point out that Venus and Mars are both in Leo right now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. And so Venus and Mars, those are some of those closer planets that often can end up in the same sign as each other, but not always automatically. Sure. But I feel like when Venus and Leo are in the same sign, you got your lover and your fighter, and they're getting along.
Yeah.
And they're given the same energy.
Yeah.
And when they're both in Leo, there's drama, there's flair, there's passion, there's love. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You're loving the way you're fighting about the way you're loving.
Yes.
The drama.
Yes, the drama.
So good.
It's like kiss and make up and the whole thing. So
it's so great.
Yeah.
Yes. That's matching a lot of energy right now.
Totally. So. And I mean, okay, we're giving this a lot of like beauty, but
true.
It could come off, too hot for some people.
Sure.
Too much, too harsh, overwhelming, especially if it's not aligning with what you want or need. And so, just keep that in mind. But hopefully we can channel this in a way that is empowering and lively and playful.
Yeah, because you are allowed to express that energy however you want. It doesn't have to be the way that other people would do it. It can be in whatever way you want. So take a step back and evaluate how you want to do that.
Exactly.
That's cute.
It is. It's cute. Okay.
I love that.
What do you have? What do you want to highlight?
Well, we've got, this is what I was talking about. We have a first quarter moon coming up.
Yay!
Yes, in Libra.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I think it's good. I like an air moon, first of all.
Yeah.
I appreciate an air moon, any iteration of an air moon. Particularly like the quarter moons in Libra. Specific, like air moons, yes, but specifically Libra. And I think the reason why is because a first quarter moon allows you that pause, right? It's that revision. It's that checking your progress, revising, what you have going on moving forward. And I mean, what better sign really than Libra to sort of be like cerebral, intellectual, and sort of give you that time to pause and be like, wait, let me revise, let me decide, let me see. Yeah. As long as you actually do make a decision. Which is a little bit of the rub, right?
But you're totally right. And I appreciate you kind of looking at the skillful side of Libra energy.
Yeah, that's the skillful side. And you really need to be aware of it, I feel like, because we're in Gemini season, which is, air sign energy, which like the B card can also be like a little bit here, there, everywhere.
Very true.
And Libra can be that way in an unskillful representation. But if you really do this in a skillful way, I think that that's a good first quarter moon to have.
I agree. I love that. And I do think, like we've said, the moons are one of the easiest cycles to track and to be aware of and to like incorporate into more consistent practice.
Absolutely. They're always changing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But see, that also reminds me that we are in Gemini season, not for long. So on the 21st, we have Cancer season is beginning on midsummer, the summer solstice.
Right.
Also go back and hit up our midsummer seance episode if you want to learn more about midsummer, about the Sabbat and the holiday. Not to mention seance. Hello, just saying.
What a fun episode.
It was so fun. And the lighting was beautiful and we looked so pretty.
Yeah, that was all designed by us.
Yeah, just so you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was amazing.
Yeah, it really was.
That design was cool. I liked that. It was
super cool.
Yeah, we're moving into Cancer season. Yeah, and then Mercury is entering Cancer.
As well.
Yeah,
correct.
June 26th.
June 26th.
So, yeah, that's a lot of emotion.
Well, it is. And I think Mercury in Cancer really is about sentimental, nostalgic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, remember when this and oh, remember when that.
Yeah.
So, don't let yourself get blinded by sentiment and have those rose-colored glasses. Not everything was always perfect in the past either.
No.
Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think a good thing to do when you're having those moments, this is coming from another water sign who really does get kind of like mired in that like nostalgia sometimes. Watch a movie that makes you feel that way, especially with this Mercury in Cancer and like sun season being Cancer. Watch like a summery campy movie that makes you feel that kind of nostalgia and like live in that for a little bit, because that's not like real life, that's sort of just that.
Yeah.
And then like get back to what you need to do. I think that's pretty good advice.
Yeah, don't call your ex.
Don't do that. Just put on the Parent Trap.
Yeah, literally.
And you're
Same
good.
Vibes. Way better.
Right?
Yes.
Way better.
100%.
Thank you. I agree.
Is there anything else on your why though?
Not particularly. I mean, no. I just think, we've got some emotional, soft kind of stuff coming. But it's also still hot girl summer, so you kind of have both things. So, I don't know. It can be like sad girl summer some days and like hot girl summer other days, and that's fine.
Totally.
You can have that.
Hot girls can be sad girls, too.
Yeah, I love it.
And sad girls can be hot girls.
Yes. And all of them are goth girls.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love this.
Why,
this is a super good why though, and I think, that's a good one. I'm excited though because
big witch energy.
It's big witch energy time. Ooh, also, totally forgot to tease it at the top of the episode.
Oh my God, what?
We have a new segment.
Oh, we have a new segment.
It's going to be after our big witch energy.
So stay tuned.
And I already missed the opportunity to tease it, so I'm just going to leave it, and you're just going to have to see what it is.
It's so good.
It's so good. You're going to love it. It's really cute.
The host of the show.
Said the person who thought of it.
Amazing. Amazing.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it.
We love it.
We love it.
Okay, so let's get down to business. Did we clap at the
same time?
Oh. Mm-hmm. And we weren't even looking at each other.
No, we're still twinning. It's still Gemini energy for a little bit. We're still twinning.
No,
there's so many twinning moments.
Yeah.
Look back. There's Easter eggs. There's so many twinning moments.
It's kind of creepy, but like in a cool way.
In like the Shining twins way.
I love that.
That's rad.
It's the only good twins, I was going to say, but that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But I kind of get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I get what you mean. You don't have to explain it.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's get focused.
Let's do it.
Let's do our best. So as mentioned, how to read your personal birth chart, sometimes also called a natal chart.
Yes.
We're going to be focusing on the big three.
Right.
So the big three consists of your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. We're going to break these down.
Yes.
So when you enter your information, like normally on a website, to get a printout or a list of your chart.
Right.
So do you want to talk about what information you need to get the most accurate on this?
Yeah, okay. So, yes, you do need the time of your birth. You need the place of your birth, and obviously the day and the year. That goes without saying anything, except that I just said it. So, yes, you do need the geographical location, and you do need the time, and as close to accurate on the time as possible.
Yes.
So that you can help determine what your rising, or sometimes called ascendant, sign is. And that is a sign that was rising on the eastern horizon when you were born. And in order to know what that is, you really do kind of need the time. Also for your moon sign, the time is kind of necessary because the moon is changing rapidly by degrees. So, you kind of need the time. Time, place, date.
Yes, exactly. And What you'll get after you enter that information, what you'll get is, you'll get like a circular chart that has things plotted in it. Right. We're not even going to talk about that today. What you'll also get along with that, in most cases, is a list and 2 lists. The first list is going to say zodiac tropical, because that is the model of zodiac that we're working with generally in the Western hemisphere, or the Northern Hemisphere, and in Western astrology. So it'll say zodiac tropical. And what that's going to give you is a list of the planets, usually starting with the sun and then the moon, and then kind of going through the order of, going further out into the universe.
Right.
You'll also get a list that'll say, most often, Placidus, and then it'll say orb 0. Okay. What that is a house system. We are not going to get into what all of that means, only to say that this is where you find your rising sign or your ascendant.
Yes.
And often where it says Placidus, the next one will say ascendant.
Yes.
And then after that, it'll list the houses 2, 3, 4, and so on.
Yeah.
But the important thing to know is that's where you look to find the big 3.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out, because people do get confused, and I've heard this a lot, where they're like, I see the other things, but I don't see rising sign. I don't see ascendant. I can't find it. I don't know where it is, because you're just, not looking in the right spot. And I get it. It's confusing, which is why we're explaining. So that's awesome.
Yes, so that is where you physically find the information when you get your chart online.
Yeah.
So what does it all mean, and why is this called Big 3?
Yeah, I think, I don't know where Big 3, like the term, I don't know where that originated. Oh.
I thought we made that up. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just kidding. We called it that.
But I'm also an Aries rising, so of course I thought I invented it.
He's like, we did it. I'm like, we did? But of course, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Totally.
She's like, we did. Okay. Okay, never mind. We made it up. It's become like a buzz term, right?
Yes.
What I think it's like the equivalent, like in the 70s was like, what's your sign? Like, hey baby, what's your sign? And I feel like our like modern equivalent is like, what's your big 3?
Yeah, and I think it's just sort of a shorthand. It's a way of referring to these 3 placements that interact with one another in a very specific way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And they're kind of like, I've heard them called like, they're kind of like the highlights of your natal chart or your birth chart. It's like the 3 kind of like pinball points, right? Like ding, ding, ding of your, and they all work together and they're equally important. There's no hierarchy within this kind of big 3, but they're like 3 really important key elements and a really good place to start if you have not explored much further than just what your sun sign is.
Well, and I think the other thing, echoing what you're saying, is that these are also the 3 placements that actually refer directly to your personality as a whole.
Absolutely.
So the planet or the celestial body, the sun, and the moon specifically refer to your self-identity.
Right.
And your rising sign also does. Yeah. Where the other planets are more about, specific ways or energies within just living and life and being a person.
Yeah, good point.
But these are really like your personality, and it's sort of layers of your personality. But you're absolutely right. They are equal.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, so the rising sign is your outer self.
Yeah.
It is the way that you come across in the world in pursuit of your purpose.
Right.
Which is what your sun sign is telling you about, is your purpose and your basic identity. The moon is your inner world, the sort of private workings of who you are, and includes your unconscious sort of habits of being.
Right.
Those 3 things are equal. I think sometimes the rising sign almost gets demoted. Like,
it does.
That's just your surface level. And that's untrue.
It's untrue. I'm really glad that you pointed that out and you spent a little bit more on that, because that is, even when you read sort of astrological articles or you look things up on social media, whatever may have you, wherever you access your information, even books and like, things in print, like, it will subjugate the rising sign, like, and some of the terminology that's used, like, oh, it's the mask that you wear, it's the veneer that you have. Some of the terminology I don't particularly enjoy or resonate with. I feel like it's pejorative. It has like a negative, like a mask that you wear. It's not a mask that you wear. It is an essential part of who you are and the way that you're showing up. It's your aesthetic, it's your demeanor, it's sort of the way that things get like filtered through to the rest of you that's like behind there.
Yes.
And in some people's cases, like it's the side or sides of you that is all anyone ever really interacts with.
Absolutely. And because it's part of your chart and your chart determines this, it isn't your choice. It's not this, I'm going to put on this persona of being this way.
That's a really good point.
It is part of who you are. And of course, you can make choices within that and you can become skillful and evolved like we talk about. But it is an essential part and expression of who you are.
Absolutely.
Just as much as the other parts.
100%. And I think as you were talking about before, like really brilliantly about like, you were like, really brilliantly about like what these things mean and kind of like in terms of who you are and making up your personality, like that distinction. That was brilliant the way that you pointed that out, because it really is. And I feel like sometimes people's like understanding of their rising and their access to the rising, I think it develops over time. I think that's a maturity thing.
Yes.
Because I think if people resonate with their sun, I feel like it's very apparent right away. It either is or it isn't, right? Moon, that can also be tough.
Pretty complex.
And it's emotions, it's all this kind of stuff. But I feel like rising is like another even like layer to that like it's to bring all of those together. It requires a lot of work in, analyzing the ways in which you feel, but also the ways in which are core to you and also the ways in which you are showing up with those things. And all of those layers, that requires a lot of inner work on yourself.
Definitely. And I think it's interesting too if we think about the sun being the present, the energy of the present, and then the moon bringing in sort of the energy of the past, if you will, sort of the deeper things, the habits, the unconscious parts of you that you've probably also learned over time or are natural to you, but are sort of like almost like the inner child in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have the rising, which being forwards is your direction. It's your future. It's the way that you are pulling forward, pushing forward in the world.
And that can be depending on where your placements are and kind of what's going on with the interplay of those. That can be really hard to embrace.
Yes, and I think this also starts to explain why sometimes if you meet someone and they only know their sun sign or you're just barely, talking about this, and they might say whatever, I'm a Cancer. Yeah. And you'll be like, huh. And maybe you don't know them that well, but you're just kind of like not getting that vibe.
Yeah.
And it was super interesting to find out what their rising sign is.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're like, oh, that's more of the energy that I was seeing.
Absolutely.
And doesn't mean it's a fake version of that person.
Not at all. That's a very authentic, part of that person. And I think that also there was something I wanted to mention about, a lot of times the reason why people are hesitant with astrology or even downright like rejecting it, as a thing, is because they read maybe like a horoscope, like a newspaper horoscope or something like that.
Yeah, or just, the online ones.
Yeah, the online horoscope. Ones. Yeah, exactly. And like, those, it's called a solar chart. Like astrologers just draw them up with the sun as the ascendant, the sun as the rising, because it's just like a general chart. So that's not going to resonate with a lot of people with certain sun signs who have very different risings and very different moons. It's just not going to. That's why you're going to read something like that and be like, that doesn't sound like me at all. I would never do that.
Yes.
That's why.
No, exactly. And it doesn't mean that all of astrology is BS. It just means that that's like a very narrow, very simplified version that is meant to appeal to the masses, but then ironically ends up not appealing to a lot of the masses.
I know. It's like almost like too general, and then people are like, no, it's not me.
No, exactly. So, and as you were pointing that out, I was also thinking one of the ways, as with looking at the signs in any planet or in general, or the planets in any sign. You want to look at a couple of key things and see this can affect the compatibility, but it all works as a unit.
Yeah.
So even if there are incompatibilities or conflicts within that, like it still is all of who you are. So I think in that way, there's not really any inherent conflict. Like you shouldn't be wondering who you are,
right,
because of differences amongst these, the big three.
Yeah, and on like speaking from a very honest place, I definitely in like my early work in astrology and like in personal astrology, like I had moments like that, but I realized that it came from a place of me listening too much to narratives that were already at play. And things that I had heard or read or just absorbed, right? From kind of like the toxic side of like spiritualism and astrology.
Do you want to go into detail about that and like say like what are your placements and how this played out for you?
Sure, yes. So I'm a Scorpio sun. I am a Sagittarius moon.
She laughs. I don't know why.
Yeah. And I'm a Gemini rising. Usually when I give my big three, or there's been times where I've like, like posted it online in, a forum or whatever. Typically, typically the reaction is like, woo. And I get it. I'm living in here, so I understand that. But yes, so Scorpio sun, 100%. Like, there's no doubt. I've never had a doubt. I'm like, that's literally me.
Yeah.
Quite literally me. Sagittarius moon, same. Like, maybe a little. Based on some of the Sagittariuses that I've known, a little bit, I was kind of like, really? Like,
no, but I also think like you having a fire moon does make so much sense.
100%.
Yes.
That for sure. Like, yes, all of that fierceness with the way I love and feel. And yes, of course. I'm not particularly like blunt and forward though. And so I think that's where I like struggled a little bit with that. But I think where I really resonate with Sagittarius moon is that wanderlust energy and that like need to explore and expand my horizons, both physically, definitely in a physical way, but also mentally. So that resonates. My rising is the place where I misunderstood my own self for so long. And I think that's why, me speaking about it's a maturity thing and understanding these levels and these layers. You're not just going to be automatically good with that, especially if you're experiencing like trauma in your life around who you are or your identity, your sexuality, all of that kind of stuff, your relationships. If that's going on with you or has gone on with you, which let's face it, like who is that not true for? I think sometimes that's going to be where it's hard. And for me, and just... we talked about this before, like Gemini is one of the most hated on signs, followed by Scorpio, okay?
Yeah, it is a tough combination, not because it's so hard for you to be it.
Right.
But it's because people perceive these things and are oppressive towards it.
Oh, yeah.
And are scared of it, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it hard for you because of those things.
Yeah, and I was like, almost like, I didn't know this, but I was almost kind of scared of it with myself. Like, well, how could that be? Like, I'm not a Gemini energy person. I don't have any of that. Like,
I remember having conversations with you very early on in our kind of togetherness exploration of all of this and explaining, at least from my perspective, where I really saw this Gemini energy coming in with her. And it was really this ability to like read a room and float around and be not disingenuous, but be whatever kind of needed to be in the moment and be genuine with that.
Yeah.
And I think that was for sure one of the things that I remember talking with you about.
No, you illuminated it for me because honestly, and this is honest, like before I met Jackie, I really was not comfortable with it. And it's not because I like hated Gemini. She was even like
embarrassed to tell me too.
Well, because people, and like when you tell people, they're like, oh, Gemini, like
and it's not because you or we hate Geminis.
Not
that
at all.
Nothing to do with it.
Not at all. There's Geminis that I absolutely love.
But it's this negative stereotyping.
Yes, and it just, you know, for me was like hard to reconcile. And it's such a different placement. My other placements, like they're right along that kind of like Scorpio, Sagittarius, like sort of line. Mm-hmm. There's really not a lot of variation. So, and you know, a lot of water and then some fire. And so this air sign, it just, you know, it didn't feel right. And probably didn't feel right because up until that point, I wasn't fully self-actualized. I really wasn't. And like, I needed those experiences in my life, and I needed Jackie in my life. I mean, she's my soulmate. So I needed her in order to illuminate some of those things. And she made that make sense for me when she explained it that way. Like, actually, I see that because you're like a chameleon in these ways. And like, look how expressive you are. Look how you express yourself. You know, you're unapologetic about the way you dress and sort of the way your aesthetic. And she allowed me to be a lot more comfortable with doing that and being louder, like, about that in terms of my aesthetic and everything else. She gave me the confidence to do that. And in that way, I've, like, embraced that rising sign. Yes. And I mean, I am that. I really am. And I love it.
Yes.
I love it now.
And I think the way you're explaining all of this is also just illustrating the delicate interplay between the three pieces of the big three. Totally. That your fire, moon, passion, actually connects back with your Gemini outside. Yeah. And that expressiveness and that communicating out unabashedly who you are and your identity. So your soul purpose, this purpose of your soul, which is part of your sun and even your moon, really gets fully realized. Absolutely. When you bring in that rising sign with it, aligning.
And I super appreciate it because it's like with my other placements, like I'm so good at doing that for other people, you know, like
which is also very Gemini.
Yeah, but like that added little spice was like the way that I could do it for me. Yes. And like up till that point, and there's, you know, a lot of other stuff, but like I was so focused on making sure that I was like holding space for other people and making other people comfortable all the time that I wasn't even really like thinking about how I was. And that has helped me to embrace that and really just be like an even more heightened version of being like unapologetically who I am. So.
Well, and I think that hearing Ashley talk about all of this and sort of the interplay between these layers and the way that they, you know, are equally important and can start to align even when they're coming from different places. Yeah. I think this can be an illustration for how you can think about whatever your unique placements are in these big three.
And frankly, like the way that somebody else's can contribute to yours.
Ah, yes.
Because let's talk about you for a bit. Because that is why that happened.
Yes, I totally do agree. And as you were talking, I was just thinking like, well, yeah, of course that's what I did in your life because that's what I do. Yes. So I feel like, and I always say this, and it's not fair, and I also don't believe it, but I feel like I have a boring chart in certain ways, or at least my big three is boring because my sun and my moon are both in Leo and my rising sign is in Aries. Right. And the reason I feel like that's boring, even though it's not boring, is that two of them are the same, which is actually really cool. Yeah. But when your ascendant is in Aries, and this gets into the complexities of the houses, we're not going to get a lot into it, but it really is the natural placement of Aries to be in the first house. Right. And since it is, everything else just kind of follows the expected, you know, around the circle. Yeah. But the other interesting thing is if you have a sun and moon in any sign that's the same sign as each other, you can really come off as an Aries rising because there is an alignment and a singularity of the sort of core self and the interior core self. Right. So I just feel like, yeah, it all lines up. But I think the soul purpose, the purpose of the soul of fire signs is love and identity. Yes. And for me, expressing my identity and fully realizing that even when it's not accepted, but encouraging someone else to do that because I love you and I want you to be who you are. And I want everyone that I know to be who they are.
Yeah, you do.
And I think that is an expression of my purpose, is helping other people see that when maybe they are feeling stuck with themselves.
Yeah, and I think that you illustrate as the person that you are, because it's not boring at all. You illustrate.
I don't really think that I'm boring. I really don't. I think
it's fascinating. It is. Even when things are like the same or they match up or whatever, it's still fascinating because you're still a unique individual with a lot of other things going on. So, but I think you illustrate something that while, I illustrate maybe like the non-stereotype of, the hated on signs, you illustrate something about signs that are also scrutinized. I mean, fire signs, I don't know if your placements are as hated on, but people are jealous of them and people get very threatened and put off because of the confidence and because, and unfortunately, like people kind of like sink lower, right? Like not a lot of people, choose to, confront those things within themselves and rise above. There's a lot of people that, just are not on that higher plane, homie. So they kind of go low. So, but you illustrate the fact that I know about fire. I certainly know about her. Obviously probably the best. But also some other fire signs that I can think of in my life, but that they're not doing that as an affront to you. They're not doing that personally against you. It has nothing to do with you, honestly. If you ever really think that something does, it's probably not you. Yeah. They're probably thinking about their own expression and themselves. And also, they want other people to be that way. They're not trying to steal all the oxygen in the room and I'm the best and look at me and, I'm so special. I mean, that's part of how they feel about themselves, but they want you to feel that too. They really do.
Yes.
So if you can get past kind of the preconceptions of that, or confront those feelings that you're feeling when you interact with someone like Jackie, where your initial feeling is to be like, like
that is how a lot of people, or the people, I don't know, people just look, they just stare at me.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm like, what are you, why? Can I help you?
Or they get scared to look or interact or something. And it's like, if you can work through that and confront that and move past that, you'll have access to this person who really just like stands you and like wants you to be on their level too. And if you are also a similar kind of person and you find yourself butting up against that too, because, there's other fire signs out there, also maybe confronting that, like, it doesn't have to be a competition. It's not a competition. No. Everybody has their own spotlight. There isn't just one. You have one too, and you can stand in that in your own power in that big three and be exactly who you're meant to be. Yes,
and I think that having, you have like the different elements and the different sign energies coming together, and mine are much more similar. Yeah. All fire signs, 2 are Leo, 1 is Aries. It doesn't mean that, I don't ever have any second guessing of myself or questioning of myself. But I will say it's more rare. And I think I rarely regret anything. And I think I generally feel like I know that I've done my best and I'm okay with what I've done. And, doesn't mean that I couldn't be like hurt by judgments, but I think that having these things in the similar place really allows me to feel that more easily, which again, for better or worse, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I screwed everything up, but right. Anyway, I'm just saying, like, when you have these things in a similar place, like I do, you can notice things, but then if you have them in a different placements, like Ashley, you can also find alignment and find the continuity between all of that, because they all work as a unit and they make up the unique person that you are in the world, and the world needs you.
Yeah, you're exactly the way that you were meant to be. This initial kind of foray into your birth chart, this snapshot of what was going on in the sky the minute you were meant to be born, the very minute you were meant to be born. It's just a picture of who you are and who you were meant to be. And it's okay to kind of like go through that process. Like, it's similar to the way that I had to. It's okay to continue to do that throughout your life. And it's okay to be more aligned like Jackie and to be a little unapologetic about that, because if that's where you are with it, that's where you should be with it. And that's okay too. You don't have to apologize for that. Wherever you are with it, that's where you're meant to be with it. And, just keep in touch with that and with other people who you trust and who mirror and reflect back to you like the exact person you want to be and that you should be looking at.
100%. Yes. And I hope that we and this can be part of that for you on your journey.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning of learning more about how to read your personal birth chart. But the big three are very important, very interesting. So let us know if what you are and what you think about that.
Yeah, we're super curious. We want to know.
Yeah, for sure. I think that wraps up our Big Witch energy.
I think so too.
And that means, okay, we have a new segment. We're trying this out, okay? So if you hate it, let us know. They're not going to hate it.
No, they're not. They're
Okay,
gonna love it.
so this is the spell of the week.
Spell of the week.
Spell of the week. So what this is, obviously, every week we are going to give you a quick spell.
Yeah.
And that means 2 or 3 ingredients, 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Simple. So I have written the spell for this week.
Yeah.
And this is what I am calling this, and it's ironic because I was not feeling this when I wrote the spell.
Oh.
And I think that's why I wrote it.
I love that.
So this is a spell for peace within.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay.
I'm taking notes.
Okay. So again, very simple, minimal materials. So what you're to do is you need to collect salt, any herb of your choice, lavender, or oils of your choice, like eucalyptus would be a really good oil, to fill a bath or even just a sink with warm water. So you have created some steam. And to just stand, or if it's the bath, you can get in, but if it's the sink, you can stand over it. And let the aroma and the steam open your lungs and your skin. Clean your skin first, soaking up the makeup, right? If you're wearing makeup. But this is a cleansing. And as you're doing that, I would like you to say, I breathe in peace and openness. I accept whatever comes my way. And then once it cools off, the steam dissipates, you can gently come out of that moment.
That's beautiful.
And that is your spell of the week, witches.
Beautiful. Necessary. Love it. 10 out of 10.
Thank you. I will accept that rating.
It's the only rating you deserve.
Yeah, as a Leo, it's the only rating I'll accept. So
Just like, duh.
10 out of 10. No, so I think I'm going to like the spell of the week segment.
Yeah, me too. It's cute. I love it. It's fun.
Cute, easy, fun.
Cute,
That's
easy,
the
fun.
goal.
Cute,
And
easy, fun.
dumb, of course.
And dumb. Dumb sometimes. Dumb probably most of the time.
And on that note, until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner.
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Creative Director and Culture Consultant, Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.